Hi there everyone, and welcome back to Fingers, Fums and Fits. In this episode of TTPITL, I will continue working on the Lord Vigilant on Gryph-Stalker, as we slap some color on the fearsome mount. Can I keep the paint inside the lines? Let's find out. So here's how we left off last time. We've finished the Lord Vigilant, and so before we begin the Gryph-Stalker, I cleaned up any areas that might need it with a bit of Abaddon Black. Oh, quick side note here, I still haven't attached the Lord's shield, as there are still some elements to paint behind it. And we begin this paint job proper by painting the Gryph-Stalker's legs and tail with Gryph-Fleck. I then thinned down some Skaven Blight dinge to the consistency of a wash, and, well, washed it over the skin to add those shadows. And then relayered the Gryph-Flesh, avoiding the recesses. I wanted to make the feet look a bit muddy or dirty, so I took some thinned down Seraphim Sepia, and applied that to the Gryph Charger's feet. Before I added a highlight to the skin with Pallid Witch Flesh. Now we can move on to other parts of the mini. Firstly though, I got out the Abaddon Black again to tidy up any areas on the feathers, and then applied a dry brush of Eshin Grey here, as well as the fur on its head and neck. I then used Skaven Blight dinge as a second dry brush on these areas. Then, to boost the contrast of these areas, I applied a wash of Nuln oil over the feathers and fur. And then back to Skaven Blight dinge for a further dry brush, and additional highlighting on prominent strands and feathers. Before I applied one final dry brush to the feathers, this time with Administratum Grey, from the bottoms of the feathers to the top. It was at this point that I also tidied up the horns and talons with Abaddon Black. Because I then painted the top half of the horns, and the bottom half of the beak, with Eshin Grey. Before highlighting these areas, along with the talons, with Fenrisian Grey. I'm now going to skip over a load of steps, as I already explained how I did it in the previous video, a link to which will be on screen. But, I painted the Gryph-Stalker's armor in the same way as the Lord Vigilant's. Similarly, the reins and harness were painted the same way as the Lord Vigilant's skirting. And then, in a somewhat controversial move, I painted the end of the Gryph-Stalker's tail as if it were on fire. Kinda evoking Red 13 from Final Fantasy VII. Then all that was left was to finish a few accessories, such as parchments and clasps. Before it was time to base this model in a similar fashion to the rest of my Stormcast, and call this one done. And with that, the Vigilant Brotherhood is also complete. Now, this mini was a blast to paint. Sure, it took its fair time, but I still had a great time with it. But, what do you guys think? Did I manage to keep the paint inside the lines? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again for the next one. Have a great day everyone, and I'll see you later.